WXII 12 News at 6 starts right now.
A competitive primary is brewing in a just redrawn congressional district. Does any candidate have the advantage?
Exclusive analysis for the National Investigative Unit finds security gaps in election websites across the country. We're here at a nationwide event to ask election officials why those gaps haven't been fixed. Our investigation coming up.
And after a teenage boy is gunned down, a relative speaks to WXII 12 about the night her cousin died and the questions she still has.
And we'll get to all those stories in a moment. But first, conservative media icon Rush Limbaugh is announcing he has advanced lung cancer. He said this during his radio show earlier today, adding that he plans to take a little bit of time off to seek treatment. Limbaugh is 69 years old. He says he still has a great team of doctors assembled and will figure out more in the coming days, including his exact course of treatment. Commitment 2020 now. We are just 2 hours away from the first nominating contest of this presidential election, the Iowa caucuses.
That's right. Today, several Democratic candidates gave pep talks to their supporters ahead of a last-minute canvassing. And first up, we know Andrew Yang was in the town of Grinnell at his field office, while former Vice President Joe Biden and South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg and Tom Steyer they were all at events held in Des Moines, Iowa. Senators Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and Amy Klobuchar are not in Iowa today due to the impeachment trial of President Trump in Washington. Tonight, we invite you to stick around after WXII 12 News at 11. At 11:30, we will have live analysis of the Iowa caucuses, and we'll be on for an extra half hour, so be sure to tune in.
North Carolina's primary election is exactly 1 month from today, March 3rd. If you plan to vote in that one, there are some important dates that you need to keep in mind. The regular voter registration deadline is this Friday, the 7th. One-stop early voting runs February 13th through the 29th. You can register and vote during that period. The final day to request a mail-in absentee ballot is going to be February 25th at 5 p.m. Those ballots must be returned or postmarked by Election Day, which again is 1 month from tonight, March 3rd. 5 Democrats right now are running for Congress in the newly redrawn 6th District.
Yeah, and that's a seat that Republicans have controlled for nearly 40 years. This district combines Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and High Point for the first time and now favors Democrats. So the big question, do any of the candidates have an advantage in this race? Bill O'Neill joins us now to explain from Greensboro.
Getting your name and message out to as many voters as possible helps decide who wins elections. In this particular race, one candidate has an edge.
Even if we could ignore him, we can't afford to. Donald Trump puts everything at risk.
Kathy Manning's the only candidate in the race so far able to get their message out on television.
It has to be to her advantage. I don't think there's any question about that.
UNCG political scientist David Holian calls this race a low information primary, one that's swamped by national news. He says getting her campaign ads on TV gives Manning an advantage.
A small advantage, a big advantage, is it hard to measure?
Do you have a sense for how substantial the ad buy was?
According to FCC records, the Manning campaign has spent nearly $50,000 on broadcast TV ads. So far, her opponents are not running any ads on local television. But according to Holian, that's not Manning's only advantage in the race.
It's the idea of having 4 black candidates and 1 white candidate. Does it end up splitting the African-American vote?
Absolutely, could be. It just, sort of the nature of things.
Holian notes that 2 of the black candidates in this race, Ed Haynes and Derwin Montgomery, both represented the same Winston-Salem district in the legislature.
Of course we think about that.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
African Americans are not monolithic.
The candidates themselves have mixed views on whether or not the 4 African Americans on the ballot will split the vote.
When you have that 4 that are split, it's going to come out down to who can move their base to the polls.
We will send someone that fits the demographics of this district to Congress. And ultimately, I am confident that folks of all hues, all walks of life in this district understand the importance of that.
Like any other group of individuals, they vote based upon who they believe they connect to the most and who is articulating the message that deals with the issues that they're dealing with every day.
And I think the people are smart enough to see who the most qualified candidates are and will pick that candidate. And I hope hope it's me.
What I have found is that the issues that are important to people in one neighborhood are important to people in other neighborhoods.
State Senator Gladys Robinson of Guilford County points out that only 2 of North Carolina's 13 representatives in Congress are African American.
I think it's important that the black community across the state has more representation, but for the congressional 6, it's important that we elect the person who can best represent the needs of the congressional 6th district.
The primary is a month from today, early voting just 10 days away. In Winston-Salem, I'm Bill O'Neill, WXII 12 News.
And according to the Federal Election Commission, Manning has raised over $500,000. The spokesperson for her campaign says that half of that money comes from a loan that Manning made to her congressional campaign in 2018.
Well, as we mentioned moments ago, the first in the nation caucuses are tonight in Iowa. But as Americans begin to make their choices for president, our National Investigative Unit has learned many counties in states all across the U.S. are using websites that lack basic security measures. Here's Chief National Investigative Correspondent Mark Albert.
We asked a worldwide cyber firm to look at more than 1,000 websites in 27 states that voters use all the time. What we found is eye-opening. When you stream a movie at home, you're watching from a secured website. That's what that S means. So if Netflix uses it, why don't local election websites? When I buy an airline ticket, I'm on a secure website. Correct. When I do my banking, I'm on a secure website. You're saying about half of county election websites are not secure.
That's right.
Steve Grobman is the Chief Technology Officer for McAfee. In an analysis for the National Investigative Unit by the worldwide cybersecurity firm, only 16% of counties in 13 battleground states use .gov websites, which are validated by the federal government. It's even lower in Iowa and New Hampshire. And nearly half of those battleground counties use websites that are not secured. Here's Iowa. I only see 8 counties of the 99 that have websites validated by the federal government and using security.
Exactly. And we need it to really be 100%. This is not difficult.
Sounds like a big problem.
It is a big problem.
Even if a website doesn't handle votes, registration, or results, the unencrypted county website could be spoofed with an encrypted one, sending out fake emails like this example with false voter information or containing malicious links.
It would be very difficult to determine which one is real.
Wow. So we showed top election officials across the country how their states fared and asked a simple question. Do you believe that every county should be using both .gov and encryption?
Yes.
They absolutely should.
They should. Obviously.
Do all of the above.
I've ordered them to.
Ohio fared poorly in a snapshot just 2 weeks ago. But now most election websites are on a federally verified domain.
We'll have all 88 counties in Ohio transitioned over to .gov in short order.
Since our investigation into election security began in 2018, we've seen the Department of Homeland Security and others prod and plead with local governments to patch cybersecurity gaps.
If you have a .gov address, allows the public to know to trust what's coming from you.
Some secretaries told us resources are a problem in smaller counties, but we've learned the total cost to move to a .gov domain is just $400 a year. On the scale of threats to the election, how critical is this?
This is very critical. We need to focus on this starting now.
And that was Mark Albert reporting for us there. The best state in this exclusive 27-state analysis was Arizona. Remember, the FBI says Russians attempted to penetrate or scanned election systems in every state in the last presidential election, 2016. It's also important to note, neither the authorities nor McAfee have publicly shown any evidence that county election sites have been penetrated so far in 2020.
And in addition to that, here in North Carolina, only 37 of our 100 counties have a .gov internet domain, and 59 use encryption for their online services. So we posed the question to Elections Executive Director Karen Bell if she recommended all counties start using both.
We actually do recommend that, and we've been working with our security partners, particularly DHS and our North Carolina National Guard and our state DIT department, to work with counties, not just the county elections office, but also the county IT departments, to ensure that that compliance can happen and to support them in those efforts.
Bell went on to say that one of the obstacles to election security is the economic diversity of our state. Some small communities only have a few thousand registered voters, while others have close to 1 million.
A Burlington man arrested in connection with a deadly shooting last week was in court today. Makai Steele is charged with assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill. Family members tell us the victim in this case is 16-year-old Tyler Graves. He was shot and killed on East Holt Street, and his brother was also injured in the shooting but is recovering. Tyler's cousin Jada Graves says she was with him just this past Thursday night. She says the three of them were walking home from Family Dollar when a car pulled up and someone inside started shouting at them. Next thing she knows, she says they're cornered on East Holt Street and the car or someone inside opens fire on them. Jada says she tried to stop Tyler's bleeding, but there was nothing she could do but hold her cousin and be with him in his final moments.
His last words to me was, "I can't feel my legs." And then I looked at him, I kissed him on the forehead, I hugged him, and he was a wonderful person. He had a good personality, he was joyful. It was goofy, like he could make anybody, like it could be their worst day ever. And you see Tyler, he'll walk up on you, he gonna make you smile automatically, and it just brightened up your day.
Police say they're still looking into the motive tonight, and there is a possibility of more arrests. The family, meanwhile, has set up a GoFundMe page to help with funeral costs. If you know anything about this incident, you're asked to get in touch with the Burlington PD.
A Burlington man is in custody right now, accused of holding a woman hostage with a glass bottle. He's right here, Sean Hudson, charged now with kidnapping, assault, and communicating threats. Deputies say this happened Saturday at a house located on Mitchell Street. They were able to get the victim out of the home safely. Hudson is in custody on a $20,000 bond.
In our nation's capital, closing arguments are done in the president's impeachment trial. After months and months of hearings and arguments and testimony, the president's fate now heads to the hands of the full United States Senate. A few GOP senators do concede Democrats proved their case, but they argue his actions still do not warrant removal by Congress. A final vote on whether to convict or acquit the president is set for this Wednesday afternoon.
From our nation's capital back to the Triad, some local teachers are back home after spending time last week in Washington, D.C. to watch the impeachment trial in person. 3 teachers at Reynolds High School wrote to Senator Richard Burr's office asking for passes to the Senate chamber. They drove up on Thursday together after school and sat in the gallery on Friday. Civics teacher Christopher Wiley says that it was a surreal experience.
Even though it was a pretty much foregone conclusion about the outcome, there was still something very somber about the moment. I'd like to think that almost all of those senators, did, sort of grasp and understand the gravity of the vote they were about to make.
Wiley says the hearing was overwhelming to witness.